It's so horrible, and it is exactly like show business. Show business is all about positioning, so that's why you get some wild cards in show business, because wild cards are often geniuses and wonderful performers, but people have to be positioned. They position themselves just far enough away, so if the hand grenade goes off, then they don't get injured. But if the hand grenade doesn't go off, they can go, look how close I was to this wonderful auteur. And you suddenly find out that, like most of Hollywood, they've been shagging children. Hello, and welcome to Fox and Father with me, the Fox, and him,
the Father.
Before we get off this week, we don't get off at all, which is a shame.
What are you talking about? I'm going to start the show off so gay. Honestly,
what's wrong with you?
I keep telling everyone this is the new masculine podcast of masculine Christianity, and you're like, we're not getting off.
You just be flattered, all right? Anyway, look, first and foremost, Pete. This lighter is amazing. Look at that.
That is so cool.
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
Thank you so much, Pete. And while we're in the spirit of thank yous, look at that.
Absolutely amazing.
I've got my first oil painting.
So Bob Jackson sent two of these, one for me and one for you, not obviously the same picture, to my church. So thank you, Bob Jackson, for sending these portraits. They're absolutely wonderful.
Thanks, Bob. It's so thoughtful of you. A small token of thanks. We're in difficult times, and you and a few others are pushing back against tyranny. I enjoy your and Calvin's show. There you go. Regards, Bob. Thank you, Bob. Instagram is Bob_Jackson2. If you want to find that, and that's going to go up on the wall. And my children are going to mock me for looking old. So, Calv, yes. How was your week, my friend?
My week has been really good, actually.
You look like you've had a good week. You look super serene.
I just got back from holiday. I went to Colorado, but I went via Phoenix. So I met up with some church friends in Phoenix. And then I came home via Michigan. And while I was in Michigan, I put out a little Instagram saying if anyone wants to meet up, come and have a coffee. And a few people came and had a coffee. It was lovely. And yeah.
So nice.
Yeah.
And you're spending much more time in America now, aren't you? It revivifies you.
Thank you.
Is that a word?
It does. Yeah. In Colorado, I went up the Rockies, which was strange for me because it's scorching hot. Scorching. It's like 25 to 30 degrees C, right? Yet there's still snow there. Well,
how does that work?
I don't know how it works. The site you can it's really dense, but yeah, we had lots of walks around there. That was great. Nice.
That sounds lovely.
Yeah,
vast improvement on my week, I think.
Tell us about your week.
What happened in my week? Well, we've got there was yesterday.
Yes,
there was.
2 days ago, as this goes out.
Yes, exactly 2 days ago. So. As people will remember, Tommy Robinson went to the anti-Semitism protest and was arrested by the police and mobbed, maced, bullied, arrested, put in the cells for breaching some sort of order that banned him from being there. Anyway, it turned out the police had lied on their documentation that the order hadn't been made at the certain time when he was arrested, and it was for a different area and all that. So the police got handed their asses on a plate. So that was on St. George's Day, and it was great to see him. And then there was a St. George's Day rally.
So the Tommy thing, first of all, that was sketchy to begin with, because I watched the live footage of that where he was sat having his breakfast, about to go down as a journalist to the anti-Semitism or the anti-Semitism march, because he's a supporter of Israel. And they came up and said, no, you're under arrest essentially for being Tommy Robinson. The organizers of the protest did not want him there. Yet at a protest, everyone's free to protest. I didn't understand that. Like, it's free speech, it's freedom of assembly. And if you think it's for a good cause, then you have a right to go down there and protest. And protesting against anti-Semitism seems to me to be a good thing.
Yeah.
But of course, they didn't want him there because they want to paint him as this far-right figure. And the far-right are anti-Semites.
Yeah.
And so it messed up their narrative, him being there. So they trumped up this charge of, police protection order for a certain geographical area, which they can just put into place whenever they like, but based on the complaint of one of the organizers of the protest. I just find that, so if I'm organizing a protest, I could say, oh, I don't want that person coming in. The police can go and arrest them. It doesn't work like that.
Same guy, Gideon Falter, is that his name?
It is, yes.
Who was the one that was trying to cross the road at the Palestine March. It was him. That's the same guy, wasn't it? And, you know, I tried to cross the road yesterday and the police didn't like that very much either. I mean, the interesting thing about Tommy is that the more I think about him, the more I think that he's been a much maligned figure in this country. And that those, like our former employers at GB News and others who don't want to be associated with him, are disassociating themselves with someone who's actually taken more arrows and more punches for your average Brit.
Yeah, they're playing into the hands of the enemy. That's what they're doing.
Why? What do you mean?
As in, the enemy wants to silence the right, wants control of the country, and essentially push these left woke liberal policies through. And so they paint anyone who stands up as far right or extreme or whatever. And when people on our so-called side join the pointing and this, yeah, he's far right, they're enabling the progressive lefts to push through their way.
But why do they do that then? So why do they why distance yourself from someone like Tommy? Because at the end of the day, obviously he's got a history and all of that sort of stuff, but he's sort of pretty bang on about a lot of things.
They all want to be seen as moderate. They all want to be seen as nice members of establishment and elite society. And they all want to go to the clubs. They all want to be invited to events at the Houses of Parliament. They're all sold to mammon, really.
Yeah, whenever any establishment figure comes anywhere near me, I want to run a mile.
Yeah, as you should.
I can't bear them. I don't want to be part of the establishment. And I went down to their rally and he said, will you say a few words?
Right. How was that?
It was amazing. Because there you have the most underrepresented people in Britain. Britons.
Yeah.
You know? And for all the sort of social media commentators who goes, they're all gammons and they're all white. They're not.
They're not. What if they were?
But yes, exactly. So what if they were? But the fact is they're not. And then that silly, mindless woman, she's really sweet, but she's got a brain the size of it's not very big, Narinder Kaur, who's sitting there going, you only got off your case because of your white privilege. It's like, if one person in the world does not have white privilege, which is a stupid myth anyway, it's Tommy Soddy Robinson. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, went there, said a few words, people peeled off afterwards. There were thousands of people there. It was really nice. And they were really, there was a sense of complete abandonment. And the man that you think is quite sound, who I think is an absolute tool, Tom Tugendhat, started going, these people are thugs and scum on his social media. And I'm like, you know what, mate? That's why you're about to get obliterated at the ballot box.
Yeah,
you're going to get wiped out because these people would have voted for you because you're meant to conserve things. You're not meant to hate the very people you're meant to represent. If you hate your voters, you deserve to be thrown out of office.
Yeah, this is dangerous. So many people feeling disenfranchised is a dangerous place for a country to be.
Yeah, I think it is a dangerous place for a country to be, and it's a sad indictment of literally how establishment this country is. So there's no representation for these people, and they love this show, by the way.
Oh, great!
But lots of people came over and said that, and then they were like, "Where's Calv?" And I said, He's either in America or he's in church.
I was in church. Right. I was holding a St. George's Day service, which was wonderful.
Was it good?
Yeah, it was really lovely. But I would have liked to have been down there. I didn't actually know the details. I was trying to find out what was going on. I know it was all a bit...
Well, once I saw it happening and I saw the police doing this two-tiered policing. So this is what happened, right? So people do their speeches. There was a man of the cloth there who prayed for England, which was beautiful. And then people peeled off, right? As with all of British culture, not just this sort of imaginary far right that people go on about, people like to go off for a beer. They do. Whitehall has a lot of pubs on it. Yep. One of them, the Red Line closed because, the Red Line is Red Line, but the Clarence remained open.
Right.
And I went in there. I bumped into a girl who I used to know back in the days when I was married, right? And we both thought that we were secret lefties. And then she saw me, and I saw her, and I was like, "Oh my God!" And she was like, "Yeah, no, I've had to keep my mouth shut because she works in fashion, but she's a complete patriot." And anyway, so a group of people peeled off, went to the pub, had a few beers. The police, in large numbers, began just to sort of slowly come on and around this pub.
Kettling people.
And it was intimidating. Anyway, there was an incident of some kind, and it all kicked off properly. And I thought to myself, they were just, every single one of them was so highly strung and ready to cause a problem.
Yeah.
That when the problem came, they got to say, "Oh, look at the far right gammons doing their things," and to continue to alienate the people like that in society is really a dreadful thing. But it did give me an idea. You know, I've been going on about the fact that political parties are not the solution.
Yep.
Political movements are the solution. I wonder if we can't get the important countercultural figures who have been attacked and beaten down by the establishment, who do care about the wishes and feelings and the well-being of your average person, to come together and form some sort of council and get that council elected. So you don't really have a leader of it. Do you know what I mean? You have a kind of, you just go, I don't know how it would work. I've got to sort of think about it a bit more. But I'm sick and tired of people like, GB News saying, we won't speak to Tommy Robinson, or any mainstream media coverage that you'll get of Tommy Robinson's victory against the police will only be, look at all the gammons fighting.
Yeah.
I thought it was shocking, actually, the way that they were treated. And the media will never, ever report it. But people's faith, I think a lot of people getting their information off social media anyway, so I was streaming it to tens of thousands, so that was good.
Yeah, I think I saw a few streams pop up. Mahia Tusi was there as well. I think the idea of a council is decent. With the police, I don't even know if it's bad intentions. I don't think it's that they want to cause trouble. I think they so expect trouble that they end up causing it themselves. Do you know what I mean?
Well, it's got to be orders somewhere.
So
there's got to be orders somewhere. When they're going bubble, bubble, bubble here, and they're holding their little cameras and they're going, right, we're identifying this guy as Bravo. He's waving. At one point, the police said he's gesticulating in a angry way towards the police, and they take screenshots of their faces. So in this surveillance state of ours, they'll have details on all of us.
Yeah.
And then I try and cross the road, and this policeman literally doof like that.
Why are you not allowed to cross the road?
Exactly, because I'm not. Well, I mean, maybe I was visibly Jewish or something. I was quite visibly white.
Oh.
I was quite visibly not a London liberal elite. So this city is a complete and utter shambles. And I think the two-tier policing is, again, the erosion of confidence and faith and trust in our national institutions is really a really, really, really bad thing.
It is, because it's going to only go one way. If people no longer feel that they can be represented by elected politicians and no one has their interests at heart, then they're going to find a way to make their voice known elsewhere. And that's going to end in violence.
Yeah, because we have words to prevent violence, don't we? That's the whole point of using words. We use language to describe things and language to express ourselves.
Yeah.
So we don't have to pick up a heavy rock in our caveman outfit and push someone around the head with it.
When democracy fails to work, we resort to civil disobedience. And when civil disobedience fails to work, we resort to, civil war.
Do you think that, so interestingly, there is a Civil War film out at the moment. It's just come out. I've not seen it, but I've heard that it's a very good movie, but B, very, very partisan. And it's all about, crazy right-wingers and secessionists. Do you think we're being fed this idea? Obviously, the left and the hard left and the woke left and the establishment who want to hold on to power want us to be violent. They want to goad us into that sort of position, don't they?
Possibly, but I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think this country is ready to stand up in any way, shape or form. There are no right-wing politicians, or very few. There are no right-wing parties, yet most people in this country tend to be conservative or somehow on the right. So there's no representation. However, the English are reserved. The English are not like the Europeans. The Europeans revolt. The Americans kind of just get their guns and do what they like. But the English are just, we sit back and let things happen.
That's a geographical thing. Yeah, because obviously
it's cultural.
But in Europe, your borders, as you can see with Ukraine and all this sort of stuff, your borders move. Like Poland used to be massive, now it's smaller. Like, do you think that's where they've got a more competitive spirit, whereas we're, as an island, we do have that English Channel and the North Sea and the sea surrounding us, so we do tend to sit back.
Well, I think it's just English never ever shall be slaves. I think it's that mentality of we are so protected. Our borders are the natural borders, and we've historically had a worldwide empire. Like, we've been such a secure nation for so long, and now we're not secure, but the enemy is from within. And so we don't really know how to protect ourselves from that. But something ingrained in the English psyche just says, oh, well, we'll be fine, you know, sit back, we'll be all right. We are England. It's like, well, we were England. What are we now?
I have no idea what we are now. I don't even think people, I think that may be one of the reasons why people won't stand up, other than the fact that they're demonized and vilified by the police. One of the reasons people don't stand up is because they don't even know what they're allowed to say anymore, what their identity is. Yeah.
I've had a complaint to my bishop today saying Calvin clearly dislikes Islam. I'm like,
well, I'm a Christian.
Yes. First of all, I'm a Christian, and I see there to be an objective truth, and I see Islam to be against that objective truth. But secondly, yes, I dislike it. And what? Like, what do you expect to come from that? Like,
you're allowed to dislike things.
Well, you're not. This is the problem. This sense of entitlement comes from this policy of tolerance and acceptance of everything and every idea and every culture. It's like, you are allowed to not like things.
You've changed my mind on this totally, by the way. Because I used to be this, you know, we've got to be tolerant. But actually, I think no. Because what tolerance does is it leads to huge amounts of tolerance, over-tolerance and overabundance of tolerance leads to, they go, well, what can we do next?
Right.
Hate. You're also allowed to hate people.
Well,
I'm not, but I know not biblically, but in society, people do possess the emotion of hate.
Of course, but I want to put a differentiation there, because I don't hate. I want to put this out because I have to say it so often because people are so confused. I don't hate Muslims. I have many friends who happen to be Muslims, just as I have many friends who have lots of different lifestyles that I wouldn't necessarily want them to have for themselves, for their souls. However, I don't like Islam as an ideology. I think it's harmful. I think it's divisive. I think it's a warmongering death cult and supports.
Tell us what you really think.
Pedophilia.
Stop sitting on the fence, Cal.
It's harmful for people of minority communities. It's just not a good thing. But that doesn't mean I don't like people who subscribe to it. The people who subscribe to it, I think, are lost, and I pray for them. And I hope that they come to know Jesus Christ, and I hope they become good Christians and good British people if they live in this country. There's a difference between hating an ideology and hating a person.
Yeah, it's hate the sinner and not hate the sin, not the sinner. Yeah,
we just have to keep saying it because people are so, especially on the left, they're so confused.
Well, they're deliberately confused about it as well. They you know, like me and my Nikes.
Right.
I go boycott Nike, which means that I won't be buying Nike moving forward.
Yeah, but you've had these for how many years?
I've had these for 7 or 8 years. I've got a pair that I've had for 20 years, and I'm not going to throw them away.
Right.
Because they weren't stitched and put together by a company that endorsed transgenderism.
Exactly. They were stitched and put together by a Chinese sweatshop.
As they should be. For the kind and tolerant left. to support.
I know, the hypocrisy is all throughout, isn't it? It's ridiculous. But I had it on St. George's Day. I'm sure you had it plenty yourself down there as well. Someone tweeted, "How can you be supporting St. George's Day? He was clearly a foreigner. You hate foreigners." Like, oh my gosh. God. It's so tiresome, isn't it?
It should be a bank holiday, shouldn't it?
It should be a bank holiday.
It should be a bank holiday. Yes. We should make it a bank holiday. I think Sadiq Khan did tweet about it. I'm not sure he's going to be tweeting about the beginning of Passover, though, and stuff like that.
I'm sure he might make an
effort.
Do
you think he might, through gritted teeth, go...
So those people...
Londoners are all celebrating... He's such a knob.
But it was good that the black cabs were allowed to fly the St. George's Cross again.
Yes, and they were in the back of the black cabs, and the black cabs were lovely. I love the black cabs.
Black cabs.
As we go back to saying every time, they should be the only people who should be allowed to vote in London mayoral elections.
Absolutely.
Oh, speaking of which, before I forget, I am standing on the London Assembly.
Right. I got confused. I was like, I saw you were on a ballot paper.
Yeah.
I knew they stopped you from standing as mayor.
Yeah. So actually, if you think about it, it might be I've got a cunning plan, as Baldrick used to say.
He did.
If you think about it, nobody's going to really necessarily vote for, well, they might do in years to come when I've turned into a very wise, sober and judicious individual.
Yeah. When you've got a few grey hairs.
Yeah, when I got a few grey hairs. It's amazing that I don't have grey hairs.
Yeah.
But the last man that interviewed me in the mainstream press said that I had... curiously blonde hair. No.
That's a way of saying you dye your hair.
Suspiciously blonde hair. I'm like, do you really think I could be asked to dye my hair? I am interested as to why everyone else in my family's got a bit of grey going on. Anyway, so on the Assembly though, if people will vote on the orange ballot paper in your if you're in London, on the orange ballot paper for me, you'll get to see me in the same room as Sadiq, asking him questions.
That's
and as a London Assemblyman, I can make pronouncements. I mean, make pronouncements on things anyway, but
that's actually more powerful.
It is.
Peter Whittle, Susan Evans, these people have been holding the Mayor of London to account from their position on the Assembly.
So
David Curtin did it as well.
Hopefully, fingers crossed, if people get out there and vote. But I won't obviously vote for who you want to. But if you'd like 10 times a year to watch the mayoral question time, I promise you I will make that the most uncomfortable position.
Yes.
Uncomfortable time Sadiq Khan ever has.
And is this a regional seat or is this a London-wide?
It's both. So you get London-wide Assembly and then you get the others.
So I can vote for you as a London-wide Assembly member?
You can.
Cool. All right.
Yes.
How cool is that?
Yes, my brother. You can. Should we get you some envelopes going?
Yeah, here, have an envelope.
Oh, I thought, okay, all right, fine. I thought I gave you the envelope first. I don't know. I can't remember how it works anymore. It's, all right. Oh, okay, this is quite interesting. Facebook has interfered with US elections 39 times since 2008, a study says. So
shocking. Big tech.
And unsurprising. So for those people that say the American elections aren't rigged, they are rigged.
Yeah, but it's not the Russians, it's the Americans.
Yeah. Those that don't have to suffer the consequences of their own shitty ideologies, like Zuckerberg, who buys 50 acres in Hawaii and builds a bunker waiting for the event, whenever that happens.
Right.
And so he lives behind his big walls whilst advocating for open borders so that working class people, it comes back to that old adage where they go, if you need a fridge mended or your air conditioning mended or, a car serviced or anything like that, it's always done by a Republican. It's never done by a Democrat.
Yeah.
The people that want the borders open are the people that do not have to suffer the consequences of their own ideology.
That's good.
And that was Victor Davis Anthony says that, but he says it so many times that it's now stuck in my own head. So I'm plagiarizing him.
Well, Facebook were found to have done it 39 times, but Google were found to have interfered 41 times as well over the last few years. Like these big tech corporations are kind of contravening democracy.
They're not. It's not democracy, is it? It's like it's what Mussolini said fascism was, corporatism.
It is corporatism.
Yeah, that's
because
what he said.
They control the monopoly of the public square, the public marketplace of ideas, where we exchange thoughts, ideas, and information with each other. They control that. They lock it down. They censor it. We saw over COVID, we saw over Brexit, we saw over big conversations like the Ukraine, that certain conversations are not allowed to be had. So therefore, they can control which way people are thinking or what we're allowed to think publicly. That's so dangerous.
And they've taken him up. So you're exactly right. Trump was off Facebook. They absolutely censored the Hunter Biden laptop story. I mean, if you just take a step back for a second, because I played Hunter Biden in that film, My Son Hunter, available to watch on the internet somewhere. And the guys that researched that and Miranda Devine's book, Laptop from Hell and all this stuff, this is not contentious or up for debate. It happened. Hunter Biden sold access to his father, to the Chinese and the Ukrainians. That's what he did. And YouTube will probably try and, it'd be interesting to see if YouTube wants to censor that, but that's true, and that's what happened.
And there was worse stuff. There was some dodgy stuff on his laptop. And of course, all of it would have embarrassed his family, including his father. But the big tech companies wanted Biden in. So we have to ask the question, why?
Because what is it? Because he's feckless and they can do whatever they want? Or because Trump's actually does care about free speech? He does. He was the one who said with the American universities who kept declaring themselves systemically racist, he said, well, if you're systemically racist, we better shut you down then.
Yeah, not paying for racists.
Yeah. We're not gonna fund. It's all in academia. These vile scenes of anyway, we'll get onto that. But Zuckerberg put $400 million into these little pockets to increase voting in various areas in America. So the election was rigged.
But we had the same thing over here, and Cambridge Analytica took the heat for it. They were the head that could be chopped off and sacrificed. But we had the same thing. It's these big corporations that are still doing it to this day, and they're getting away with it. We have no more democracy, no more open democracy. It is a lie.
It is a corporatist state. And in corporate states, you have to have those that need to be dealt with, which is possibly why we see such a rise of anti-Semitism, which people just deny. And this, we use the word Islamophobia at any available opportunity. It's like people literally bend over backwards for Islam.
But I won't get into Islam because I rant about it too much. But the Trump thing is a good example of how dangerous this is. When you've got a major election, probably one of the biggest elections in the world happening, and they silence one side of the electorate, essentially saying this guy is so bad that you're not allowed to hear what he says. So don't possibly think about voting for him. This is the guy that you should vote for. That is, that's totalitarian.
It is totalitarian. And then what makes it even more totalitarian is they're going to try and put the guy in jail.
Yeah, I know. So it's laughable, isn't
it? But I don't think it is laughable. I have a very worrying suspicion that somebody is going into court in New York. People know when he's going to arrive, know when he's going to leave.
The New York thing is...
what do they do next?
Right.
What do they do?
If they can't arrest him, if they can't put him in jail, they'll end up trying to suicide him. Thankfully, he is big enough that he can have enough protection. But they will try. I'm with you on that. But the New York thing is a good example of how petty and malevolent they are, because they're going after him for things that every businessman in New York does. And even the big lefty businessmen are coming out and saying, wait a minute, this is how business is done in New York. Yeah. Like, essentially, they're going to close down all of business in New York by doing this. But that's how badly they want to shut him down. They want to persecute the opposition.
And it's a misdemeanor anyway, this stuff. They're not criminal offences. And I find the whole thing shocking. I don't know how the man deals with it, because that must be a lot to wake up with every day.
Yeah, the major telling point for me is that he is the only modern president that has lost money during his presidency. And people like Barack Obama made millions and millions of dollars while in office. How? That's suspect. Joe Biden made millions and millions of dollars, continues to do. All of it. The Clintons, the Bushes. It's not a left versus right
Blairs.
thing. Well, but especially in America, you become the president, you become a multi-millionaire. But President Trump is the only one that lost money. That shows me there's an element that I don't trust any politician, but there's an element of him that I can trust, that he's not in it for the money.
I don't think he is a politician. I think he's an Elon Musk type figure.
Yeah.
I think he's someone who has an instinct Musk is obviously a genius, but he has a deep instinct for what the will of the people, those people who were at that march yesterday, want. And it's surely, when I got shoved into this stupid political arena, which I hate, I thought, well, there's only one group of people that's worth looking out for, and that's the people that no one else looks out for. And you very quickly become a Nazi and a far right extremist. So I'm really happy. I'm thinking of
what's worse for you, being the centrists throw all these and the lefties throw all these labels out. But what's worse, being a far right extremist and a Nazi, or being a shill and only having this opinion because it's what makes you money, or grifter?
Oh right. I don't know. I don't. If I'm grifting, I'm not doing a very good job of it, because I used to earn a lot more money than I do now. But I've got ways of making money, which brings me to my third thank you, which I forgot. Calvin's gift. Calvin's gift from America. Zero Fox given.
Yes.
Which is merch idea. And thank you, by the way, while I'm on this thing. And he also bought me a Big Bertha. What's it called?
No, a Fat Betty.
Oh, right. Thank you.
Yeah.
A Fat Betty cigar. So that will be going down very nicely very soon. I've lost my train of thought now. I wanted to, I think that if I was a grifter, I would have stayed grifting as an actor. And being a far right extremist, I'm thinking of I'm a proud far right extremist. If far right is all the things that you think it is, that people accuse you of, like loving your country, not wanting to chop children's dicks off, not seeing race and skin color before everything else, wanting our national institutions not to be politicized. If that's far right, I am a proud far right extremist. So cut that, clip it, and put it on the internet. And let Otto English.
I tire of these people so much, because I believe in everything I'm saying, right? I try to center my politics around my faith. I try to live by my faith. I don't say anything for hits or to make money or to get views. Like, those things don't mean anything. Views don't mean anything. Hits don't mean anything. And money doesn't mean anything. But like you, I was making more money doing what I was doing before I stuck my head above the parapet. And actually, we get our heads chopped off so often. It's not something that someone would do for fun.
No.
So it's really annoying when these leftists throw these things, but it's not the leftists, it's the centrists and the people who think they're on the right, think they're on our side, that throw these things at us. That's what gets on my blooming nerves.
I find them almost more annoying.
Yeah.
I mean, at least with lefty wokies, you know that there's some wiring in their head which is just completely manic, and it's just like, and you're dealing with someone you can't reason with. It's like that story of narcissists is like playing chess with a pigeon. A, it doesn't know how to play chess. B, it will just walk all over the board, knocking over the pieces, and then shit on the board and claim that it won. That's essentially what leftism is to me.
Yeah, it is.
But that's why I like to laugh at it, and also why I think it's always good that we maintain a smile in our way, and why it's great that, like I said, you've completely altered my view on this idea of the fact that why do you have to be this way with a certain person? Yeah. It is social engineering. You're exactly right. And it's done in the name of kindness. And so, you've brainwashed me.
Thank you. Good. Well, this is the reason the Conservatives are going to lose, because they've for so long focused on this idea of niceness, because they were damaged by the idea of being the nasty party. And as a result, they've not stood up for their principles. They've not conserved anything. And instead, they've focused on telling the world how nice they are, which is virtue signaling, constantly virtue signaling, which means they've taken on board lefty policies, left, right, and center. And they've become these liberal progressives that they're supposed to be protecting the country against.
Yeah.
So this is why they deserve to lose.
Liberal progressives. That's the liberal conservative progressive movement. Mm. Why is Tom Tugendhat turned into one?
I'm not going to focus on individuals, but...
Well dodged.
Yeah.
All right, envelope for you now.
Thank you.
My friend. I wonder if it will have a religious theme.
Why would it?
I don't know. It might possibly have a religious theme this time.
Stab Bishop backs Elon Musk, says video should not be censored. Right, so this is the story of Bishop Mari Emanuel, very, very based bishop, very sound individual, but also very faithful. So this is the update on his story, but the original story is that he got attacked whilst he was celebrating the Mass. I think he was giving a sermon. Some wild Mohammedan came up and tried to stab him, but the blessing was that there was a miracle in that moment, that the chap's knife wouldn't open. So the bishop held up his cross in defense, which I would hope to be that faithful. Isn't that just wonderful?
When
someone's about to stab
attack,
you, what do? Just hold up the cross. And anyway, and the Mohammedan's knife refused to open, and so he continued to hit him with a blunt object, essentially. So he did take some damage, but he didn't get stabbed, which is, I think, obviously a miracle.
That is a miracle.
But the first thing he did is he forgave the chap and he prayed for him. I'm like, this is such a faithful man. You've got a wild, hostile Mohammedan attack you, trying to stab you. Your first instinct is to present the cross of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and your second instinct is to pray for this man and to forgive him. I think that's the faith we could all be aspiring to.
That is absolutely the faith we can aspire to, because also, in a way, it's sort of so transcendentally unachievable for somebody like me. Like, I have little pockets of real anger in me, which I'm ashamed of.
I think we all have that. I don't think it's unachievable for you or anyone. I think we could all achieve that. That's what we aim for. That's sainthood. This is an example of a living saint. But the latest story is that the safeguarding officer of Australia, they have a government safeguarding officer, tried to silence and censor the video so that people couldn't see it. Obviously, because of diversity, inclusion, and equality, we can't show actual evidence of a Mohammedan trying to attack a Christian, so let's censor it. But the bishop has said, no, you cannot censor my video. I want it out there. And Elon Musk has thankfully said it will be allowed on Twitter, which is, again, this is a new take, because the tech of yesterday, big tech would have censored it, and then we wouldn't know what's going on.
Yeah, that is again, with the scales peeling away from one's eyes. When you see how much and to what extent it really is a lot of what we've been fed. I knew a lot of what we were being fed was rubbish, and I sensed it first, and then I started to look into it, and then I realised it, and now, I'm not quite at Tucker Carlson levels of everything is a lie,
right?
But a lot of the structures of society that we've had built around us and told this endless invocation of the religion of peace. Everything's peaceful, 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 but you're still killing a lot of people.
When it's not a lie, it's a mission. So the stories that reported on this say man attacks bishop, right? So they omit the fact that it was a Mohammedan. And the reason it's important that it's a Mohammedan is because when he was attacking him, he's saying, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. He's clearly doing this for his God. So it is important, the motivation behind the attack, but they leave these things out for the purposes of diversity, inclusion, and equality, which is their gods.
Like they did with Yazidi. And they said, a man has thrown acid on a woman, but they gave no description. The police gave no description, hence they couldn't find him until they find him, stuck to the footings of a bridge somewhere. But it's got to stop.
Yeah.
The pandering to any religion, which I got in trouble at the Peter Whittle conference.
Oh, how was that, by the way?
Yeah, it was. I'm a huge fan of Peter Whittle.
He's a good guy.
Like a really deep fan of his. Yeah. He's one of the very few that can put his ego aside.
Yeah.
Very few. And he put on this wonderful, wonderful conference at the Emmanuel Centre, which is beautiful. And
I spoke at it a couple of years ago. It's one of the best conferences I've been to.
It's really good, with some really good ideas. And I went on at the end because I had to do, was talking about London and stuff like that. And what was I going to say about it? It was, I got in trouble because I said, you've got to be careful of politicians trying to, any political figure who's seeking election.
Yeah.
Who sat on a thing going, vote me. But essentially, this is why the London Assembly thing is better. But he did great. But my favourite story was when I arrived, our good friend, Sir Richard of the Tice, wanted a walk around microphone. Everyone else did their speeches from a
pistol, yeah.
But he wanted to do the kind of town hall vibe. And he walked from the back of the hall all the way up the middle.
What, while speaking?
No.
Oh, as a procession?
As his introduction. Instead of just sat at the front.
Bless him.
Getting up.
No, that's cringe, but bless him. What was the reason for that?
The biggest, as they say, when you get one chance to make a first impression. I think it's there's a sort of slight messianic element to the whole thing.
That's not good.
No, I don't think it's good either. But
what was the best speech of the event?
I thought that I was very impressed by Amy Gallagher.
Okay. She was going to be your competitor.
She was going to be my competitor. SDP mayoral candidate.
Now, I like the SDP, not their financial policies, but their social policies.
Social policies very good. And she wants to rid London of diversity, equity and inclusion.
Yes.
And I think it's a really good policy. I mean, I don't know how you do it other than ban it, I suppose. You just ban. I'm just not into I don't know. I struggle with this banning and not banning thing. And then there was a question a guy asked me who said, do you think that church bells should ring every time there's a call to prayer?
Absolutely.
I know. I knew we'd disagree on this.
Why?
Well, because I said no, because it's not.
Go on.
I don't want any public displays of religion, particularly.
Shame.
And why am I wrong?
Because, first and foremost, this is a Christian country.
I know
We've always had bells ringing as a call to prayer, but it's not just a call to prayer. The bells ring in your parish church to let you know that your priest and your parishioners are praying for you and with you. Even if you don't go to church, you know that you're being prayed for. And we've had, as priests, we have so many people who say to us, thank you for ringing those bells. Like, I was ill, or my mother was ill, or something was going on, and I knew that you were praying for us. Or, I've never been to church, but I've always appreciated that you're praying for. Like, it means something to be prayed for.
I don't mind. Yeah, I think that's not my problem. My problem isn't the pealing of bells. I think that's great. And I think it's a joyful sound as well, which is so wonderful.
It's better than the screeching and the howling.
But in reaction to the call to prayer, like a sort of groups of football fans chanting at each other.
It's not an reaction. We've always had the bells.
No, I'm just saying that you don't.
In fact, it's law of the land that you have to ring your bells.
I don't hear them so much anymore. Do you?
No, which is another shame that people are watering down the faith and the practice of the faith.
God, it's a shambles what's happened to the church. I don't even go to church. I'm going to have to go.
You are going to have to go.
I'm going to have to convert to Catholicism.
Come to my Tuesday service.
Where is it? At Harlesden?
No, it's in
the new one. Yeah. Can you tell us where that is?
No, I can't, because it's a small chapel. And
all right, I will come. Is it Catholic?
No, it's the service that we're doing is non-denominational.
Okay.
Obviously, my order's a Catholic, but I serve in an Anglican parish. But I wanted it to be a service that anyone can come to. So there's no Eucharist, there's no Mass. It's just, we have evensong, so evening prayers, the Great Litany, which is the oldest liturgy in English, and we have prayers for the nation. And the whole purpose of it is to be praying for this country and for the people governing this country, that they have our best interests at heart.
I will definitely come to that. I'm interested that I saw that Jordan Peterson's wife had converted to Catholicism.
Tammy, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I love Tammy. She's wonderful.
And I think I'd be
Candace Owens has as well.
Candace has.
Yeah.
My dad would disown me, I think, if I converted to Catholicism. I think we'd have some serious problems.
Let's just start with going to church in the first instance.
Can't you just finish the race at the end?
Yeah, indeed. Why do you need to go to church, Lawrence?
Because I need help, you know? And also I pray now more than I used to.
That's good.
Because it also is something amazing just generally about my mum was hilarious about this sort of stuff. I used to go, well, you know, why can't you just meditate or something? And she went, well, invite the devil in. And she went, next you'll be saying you want to do yoga.
I think me and your mum would have got on.
You would have gone on super well. She did not like any of that rubbish at all. So I just think there's something wonderful about taking time in your day, especially when you're under attack. So many of these lovely people yesterday came up to me and they said, this must be very draining and hard on you, and we're really grateful and we really have you in our hearts. And I'm so touched. You know, people open doors for each other. Yeah. It was amazing. You know, before it all kicks off and the police are really winding people up, they're opening doors for each other and saying, no, after you to the bar, you know, real, you know, obviously they are a very passionate and strong element of the nation, but they really epitomize what the ignored and lost and forgotten people of this country who have been blamed for everything and are the reason why we've got idiots talking about, you know, doing down St. George's Day and doing down the wonderful parts of this country. I mean, if you can't love your home, what have you got to love?
Indeed.
You know?
Well, other than God.
Yeah, well, I mean...
But I think, I think you're right in that going to church does help people who are struggling. It helps people with all kinds of things. But of course, I want to emphasize just for viewers, really, that it's not about you receiving help. It is about that, but it's not just about that. Primarily, it's about giving praise and thanksgiving. It's about worshipping God. And I think that's important, that differentiation, because everything in this modern world is transactional. It's about what do I get out of it, but it's not about what I get out of it. It's about what I give. Yeah. And I think that once you start going with that mentality of I'm going to give my time to the Lord, I'm going to give my prayers, my thanksgiving to the Lord, it recenters your mind not just on your church, but on the rest of your life, on not just focusing on yourself, but on something greater than yourself. And it's quite a humbling way to live, and I think more of us need to strive for that mentality.
Yeah, I think I'll take that as a mild chastisement. No, but it's fair enough. I do have a small narcissistic streak, which is like, oh, woe is me. But anyway, it is what it is, and I will come on Tuesday. Good. Are we ready for the envelopes? The number 3.
Yes, let's do Theon's special. Yeah. And the viewer said no, they can't hear him. You know, we were saying, can they hear him? They can't hear him, so we can say what we like.
He's not even bothering.
What's Theon been up to this week?
He's not even bothering talking now. He's just giving me the eyes over the computer. Okie dokie. What do we got here? Oh, this says play a video.
Ah, okay.
Can we play the video?
Who knows what happens in elections these days? Let's just say you end up in charge at the end of the year. A little smile on your face in reaction to that. Unlikely, let's be honest. But if you just think, what would Reform UK do to deal with this issue?
With illegal migrants?
Yeah.
Well, you don't stop the boats by deporting people. The way to stop the boats is to physically stop the boats. The reason Border Force is called Border Force is because they're meant to use force at the border. We've forgotten what border control means. Even when Rishi Sunak talks about stopping these boats. He does it in the context of being nice to the people who are crossing the channel.
Okay, but how do you stop them? What are you going to do? You're just going to stop them in the middle of the channel and just, take them back to Calais? What are you going to do?
You establish a force that's well trained and well equipped and capable of intercepting these dinghies, and you stop them entering our territorial water, and you require them to turn round.
You require them to turn round. They go, we're not going to turn round. We're just going to keep going.
And then you have a standoff. You have a standoff in the channel, and then you have to use force.
And then all the migrants jump into the water. What do you do then?
And you might. This is one idea. Provide them with another dinghy in order to climb back in.
And then they say we're going to keep going to England. What do you do
and
then?
And then you use force again. And I'm afraid.
So at some point, the Royal Navy or any other body, the Border Force, they're going to have to pick these people out of the water or off a dinghy that's not seaworthy. Okay, and at that point, what do they do with them? Do they take them back to France or not? What do they do with them?
The presumption in your question is that we have a duty of care to people who are seeking to enter our country illegally.
We have a duty of care to people drowning in the channel, yes.
Well, we only, by the way, under international law, Article 98 of the UN Convention of Law of the Sea, we only have an obligation to save people if it's reasonable to do so. And under the same international law, we have the right to turn people back who are seeking to enter our waters illegally.
I'd love it turning people back. At the point when they refuse to be turned back, or they just someone just puts a knife into the dinghy and it starts deflating, or they jump into the water because they've been told that's what you do, and then you'll be picked up. You know as well as I do, anybody who has ever been on a boat will know that the rules of the sea are very clear. You have to save life where you can save life, and that is what the
only if it's reasonable to do so.
But it will be reasonable to do so because there'll be people drowning.
I don't think it's reasonable.
Are you genuinely saying the Reform UK policy is we will let people drown to make a point? Because I think that's what you're saying.
No, Julia, if someone comes... let's not infantilize these people. They have free will. They were safe in France. They paid good money to get on a boat seeking illegally to come. So I'm not going to infantilize them. And I'm not going to be held to ransom by their claim that they deserve protection as soon as they get into our territorial waters.
I agree with all of that. At the point when they use the tactic of jumping into the sea and they're drowning, are you saying that British Border Force and the British Navy will be instructed not to rescue those people from drowning?
No, you didn't hear me. I said that we could, as an idea, provide them with another dinghy into which to climb and then go back to France. And if they choose to scupper that dinghy, then yes, they have to suffer the consequences of their actions.
Then you would leave them to drown?
They cannot, they cannot be infantilized to the point that
I have no doubt, Ben, that is a policy that would work quite well. However, that is not a policy that a civilised country should endorse.
Why is that uncivilised, Julia?
Because we don't leave people to drown, because we're civilised human beings. I don't want these people here. I don't think they should be infantilised either. But I wouldn't leave someone to drown. No, I wouldn't. I don't think there's anyone in Border Force or the Royal Navy who would do that.
Well, I'm afraid border force means using force at the border. If we're not prepared to use force at the border, we will have open borders. And the presumption of your question goes to the heart of the problem in the United Kingdom. We don't protect our borders because we don't have the political will or courage to do so.
I agree with you on that.
Border control is a physical process. It's not a legal one.
We have to collect them from the water and then remove them back to France, whether the French like it or not. I could understand that as a policy.
You can have 5 dinghies and they can go, or you give them a boat which they can't splash again.
I love both these people.
Yeah.
Ben Habib is great. He's the best that Reform have. Sorry.
Don't worry about it.
Julia Hartley-Brewer is one of the best broadcasters in this country. She skewered him. Yeah. Bless him. I don't think he was prepared for that because she does hold people to account, he was even people she agrees with.
Yeah, that's the conservative way.
Yeah.
You don't just get a free pass like the lefties do. If you come up with some vile anti-Semitic rant and then all the lefties come in and go, oh, he didn't mean it. It's like the conservatives come in and do interrogate their own side because they're interested in what, I think this is going to happen more and more to Reform. People are going to start going, what are you going to actually do?
Yeah.
And I'm slightly concerned that they're going to be found very, very wanting as Ben, a very bright and sharp man.
Yes.
Why did he not just get out of it by saying, if they jump in the water, the Navy pick them up and drop them in sodden Calais.
Right, exactly. That's exactly what I would do.
That's how you get out of it.
Yes.
But he's talking about extra dinghies, and I love
the extra
Ben.
dinghy stuff was just...
Come on.
I know.
What do you do? Tow out a dinghy or here's another dinghy?
Yeah.
But there is this idea, what he was calling it infantilizing people, but I would call it the entitlement of people to think that they have a right to break the law to enter the United Kingdom. No. So what we should say, my view on the whole thing is, if they turn up and you slash your boat, we'll pick you all up out of the channel, give you a nice warm blanket, take you straight back to that other nice free country which you had to pass through to get to the United Kingdom. And failing that, if they actually get here, you will never, ever hold a British passport in your life. And you will spend your life on the run from every single authority there is. Because unless you are fleeing war and unless you're a genuine refugee, you don't have any place here. But the problem is the Conservatives want these people here because we, the Brits, aren't working and aren't breeding.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's a fake short-term top-up of our GDP.
It is.
But Ben and Reform more broadly need to have a natural plan because if it can't survive the scrutiny of that, imagine Prime Minister's question time.
It's not good. Where he was right is that the border force should be a force at the border and we should have controlled borders. That is all absolutely right. I mean, I support your idea of if you pick someone up in the Channel, then drop them back off in France. But I also support the idea of what the Australians did. Have gunships in the Channel, properly protect your border and prevent people from crossing it in the first place.
Deterrence.
Yeah, deterrents are good. But we also do need a policy of once they reach our shores, what do we do with them? We don't give them 5 years to mess around and find a different way of seeking asylum, whether it's saying they're homosexual or saying they're Christian or, convert or something. We don't do that. We say you enter the country illegally, you are gone, because there are safe, legal routes to enter this country to seek asylum. And
they've crossed many safe countries to get to Britain. And the reason why people want to come to Britain is because they want to use, quite understandably, it's not a judgment on them, our absolutely free system.
Right, but it doesn't matter what the reason is. If you're entering a country illegally, especially if you're crossing over the borders in that way, you're invading a country. So the border force have every right to enforce the border.
But also you cannot have your first act of becoming a British person law breaking.
Right.
What
model,
we're a
law-abiding country?
What example does that set any generation of people? We, as you say, the malaise and the rot and the cancer in this country is kindness.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, kindness should come off the back of deterrence. It's big stick, carry a big stick and speak softly, or whatever. I think whichever American president who said that, it is the right way to do it. And we've got this very kind of vocal, perma-kind people, and they're not kind.
No, it's not kind.
They're encouraging people to get into dangerous situations.
Yeah.
They're encouraging people, smugglers, to build these dreadful boats that can't carry. They're encouraging the oversubscription of them. They're encouraging them to sink, and they have blood on their hands.
Which encourages
not us.
These Pakistani Muslim rape gangs, which encourages the people smuggling, which encourages the drug trafficking, which encourages the gang culture and the extra stabbings and all this horrible stuff that's going on in the country. This is what the left liberals are encouraging by allowing this. And it's from this false idea of niceness that, well, everyone deserves to live in England, don't they? Well, no, they don't.
No, they actually don't. Sorry, this is my, I keep saying it, and I was saying it yesterday, we don't have anywhere else to go. I don't want you to turn my country into the place that you left because you hated it. I don't. And we need a serious political party that actually have the ideas, and Reform, annoyingly, seem to, with their sharpest knife in the book, in the drawer even, which is Ben Habib, couldn't say the simplest thing, which is why I don't believe in reform.
The Conservative Party this week have had, well, there's that interview with Stephen Edgington and Liz Truss.
Yeah.
And she's trying to paint herself as the right-wing candidate. Bless her heart. I like Liz Truss. I don't think she's right-wing.
Yeah, I think she's becoming right-wing.
You think? She's trying to paint a niche for herself.
I've got a very far-right extremist friend called Jeffrey. And Jeffrey's a big fan of Liz Truss. He thinks that Liz is turned a corner.
I was trying to get him at GB News for a long time while I was there. I was like, you need to come over. And he couldn't for reasons, but he has obviously now, and he's doing their international stuff. And I think he is, as far as I dislike GB News, he is one of the solid proper journalists there now.
He's like 23 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is a mega brain.
The stuff he was doing at the Telegraph was fantastic.
Yeah, whatever he touches, he's brilliant.
And at the Sun before that.
Yeah, we need Stephen Edgingtons in this world. I was thinking that Liz Truss, because obviously she swallowed the LGBTQ plus IA pill.
Yeah.
And all she should do is you can atone.
Well, that's true, because she is saying she regrets that now, saying she was an LGBT ally. I respect that. But I think she's too much of a politician. I met her at Darren Grimes' birthday party, right? She edges up to me. She goes, "Why are you not standing for politics?" I'm like, I don't want to be a politician. I think I have more influence in the media in turning this country around. She's like, no, they always say that. They always say that. You need to stand. The only way is to stand, to become a politician. And I don't agree with that at all, because I think that it's a swamp, it's a cesspit. And actually everyone involved ends up focusing on the end goal of becoming a politician rather than fixing or changing the country. So I asked her, are you not sad that, they essentially ousted you? There's a big coup d'etat. What? No, it's just the game. It's politics. I love it. She's just in it. They're all in it. They love it. It's a culture. It's
horrible.
Yeah.
It's so horrible. And it is exactly like show business.
It is.
It's all about positioning. Show business is all about positioning. So that's why you get some wild cards in show business, because wild cards are often geniuses and wonderful performers, but people have to be positioned. They position themselves just far enough away. So if the hand grenade goes off, then they don't get injured. But if the hand grenade doesn't go off, they can go, look how close I was to this wonderful auteur. Right. And, you suddenly find out that, like most of Hollywood, they've been shagging children. It's a dirty, horrible game, and it perpetuates itself. The sole purpose of the establishment and the politician is to continue to regain and retain power for itself.
I mean, look at Rishi Sunak, right? He's striven for that position his whole career. He's played dirty politics, stabbed people in the back, including Boris Johnson, to get there. And what does he do when he gets there? Nothing, but protects his position. What has he done for this country?
Calvin, the plan is working.
What's the plan?
That's what the Conservatives' election thing is. The plan is working. Stick to the plan.
It's awful.
What the plan of destroying the country piece by piece, little by little, institution by institution, person by person is working. Yes,
I don't even think they have a plan to destroy the country. I think the plan is just for them to have these nice cushy jobs and have these nice privileged positions and keep them for themselves. That's it. There's no malevolence there. There's just no good intention there either.
Why can't we do that?
Because we believe in something.
No, but can't we just sell our souls?
This is it. I think to get into those positions, you have to sell your souls, right? I do. I think you've got to compromise too much to get there. And then even the people that say, "Oh, when I get there, I'll turn things around. I'll change it from the inside." Even the people that we know and have trusted, it's like they don't. They sell their souls, and then one compromise leads to another compromise leads to another. And before you know it, they are compromised.
But if they're happier, I always, when I was being a bit woe is me about church and I need a bit of help and all that sort of stuff, my life feels pretty painful, a lot of it. I mean, there are some absolute gorgeous parts of my life, but those are the private parts that sound dodgy. But my private life is has some. Do
you have a private life anymore?
Yeah, I do. Okay. But the public facing aspects of my life is really agonizing. And I sometimes wish that I could, if there was a nice deal where I could sell something, a little bit of me, to have it easier. What does God say about that? Don't do it.
I think you have to try and do two things. You have to try and stick to the truth and try to stick to goodness. You've got to fight for what's true and you've got to fight for what's good. That is never easy.
Yeah.
And it's often very painful, but it's always the right thing to do.
And it is what's the bit in the Bible that says that the earth is the domain of the Prince of Lies? What's that bit?
Yeah, the earth is the domain of the Prince of Lies, and this is why we get baptized and why we have a kind of exorcism as part of our baptism service to kind of, and when we're baptized, we die of our old world and we die in Christ's death and we rise in his resurrection and we become a new person. Essentially, we're born again because we're parting from the devil's domain and entering into God's domain.
I'm glad you baptized my children. You're a legend for that.
God bless them both.
Well, yeah, indeed. They are the best things that ever happened to me.
That's why it's so important for everyone to get baptized.
It is. Unless your name's Abdulaziz.
Especially if your name's Abdulaziz.
Well, what he just got baptized and then went and bought some corrosive substance.
Oh, is that one?
Yeah.
I mean, baptized truly
with meaning it.
Faith. Yeah. If there's no intent there, it doesn't mean anything. It's just water splashed on your forehead.
Yeah. Good. Okay.
But all the Abduls need to get baptized. They all need to find Christ.
What do you? I was on the phone to someone the other day, and they just said, "I just can't stop watching that video of the guy going, 'Go home, Abdul.'" Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, it's brilliant. We might play it out at the end. It is quite funny. So, I think that's been good. What is the week bringing to the blissful, serene Calvin Robinson?
Oh, gosh, what have I got coming up this week?
Are you going to come and have dinner at my house one night this week?
Yes, that would be nice.
Yeah. But what else have you got going on?
I saw Andy No the other day.
Did you?
He came down to Lotus Eaters.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
what, on your show?
No, he was on the podcast.
Okay, good.
It's been a while.
I saw him as well, but I had to do a runner because Maggie's about to drop the babies,
She is.
the puppies. I'm nervous.
Is it any day now?
Well, it should be. I mean, I can't believe this dog can get any bigger. It's she's at home now with my assistant because I can't leave her alone.
Okay.
So she's really tired, and she will not leave me alone.
She's been very needy, hasn't she?
But she's going to make such great babies because Rocky, the father, Lizzie's
the real father.
The real father, yeah. We have to convince there's a lot of interplay going on, which is we're convincing Sparky that he's the actual father.
Yeah.
But Rocky, the real dad, is such a sweet dog. And also the thing I love about Rocky is terriers often have a problem with authority because they're like, none of your business, mate. Right. I'll do exactly what I want to do. And you have to be quite, you have to teach a terrier because they're very, very, very clever and they're very willful. But he's brilliant. He understands hierarchy straight away. Okay. And Maggie is just like the softest, most gentle thing in the world. So they had a scan and there's 5 of them.
Okay.
Apparently, 4 or 5, the lady said. But she thinks 5. And she said one of them is massive. So that's got me anxious as well.
Right.
So I pray for Maggie.
Yeah.
And
such a tiny little thing.
I know. She literally, her stomach is on the floor.
Wow.
She's walking along on the floor. So that's what I've got going. But I think it's a wonderful thing to witness life and the miracle of life. And in a funny way, it's kind of different from, obviously I've been a father, so I've seen pregnancies and I've seen it. In a funny way, it's something quite different about doing it with an animal. Because it's more wild and it's more, there's something strange about it. That human birth is so sanitized in hospitals and stuff like this. Whereas I'm going to have goop all over me because she's decided where she's having the babies.
Right.
And it's going to be on me. So I'm going to have to wrap myself in a bin.
You are the nest.
And then at the same time, I took my great He-Man moment of the week was to solve my mouse problem.
Ah, yeah.
Because I've got these Blaze, the big Labrador, has as you know, he has a very icky stomach because he's so inbred. And he has to have the special food, but it comes in these 50-kilogram bags. And it's never really been a problem because I've had somewhere to put them up high. But in this house that I'm going to leave, because I loathe it and it's horrible, they'd managed to find a way in somehow and started chewing at the bottom of this bag. Anyway, I've sold this mouse. Out go the mouse traps. Next morning, mum and dad mouse.
Oh, you got them both, right?
Yeah, and I've left traps out every other night. And
you could do with a cat.
Yeah, I don't like cats.
Wow.
I fear cats.
You know, I want to get either a Doberman or a Great Dane.
You look great. No, Great Danes don't live very long.
They're not.
Dobermans are great, but you look great with a Doberman, but you look even better with one of Maggie's babies. Come on, Calvo.
They're so tiny.
I know, but I don't want to sell them on the internet.
No.
I want them to go to friends and family. Lizzie's going to have one. I'm going to end up having one because I promised the kids that we'll have one.
Yeah.
And we did do the deal. Me and Eugene were lying there last night, stroking and going, we did this deal.
Eugene loves Maggie.
Oh, Eugene's the best. They're the best. And Winnie, I love them. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you.
And
thank you guys.
Thank you guys for tuning in. And it's so lovely that people watch and enjoy our chats. And we enjoy it because it gives us a chance to see each other. We can have lunch after. So lots and lots of love. And we will see you next week. Goodbye.
God bless.